Hello, everyone. Welcome to Inside the Americas. I'm Jeannie Godula. Coming up, Brazil says it will overhaul the country's penal system. That's after a bloody prison riot broke out between rival gangs, leaving close to 60 dead. And a new victory for Trump's Made in America stance. U.S. carmaker Ford is canceling a $1.6 billion plant in Mexico to beef up a current factory in the U.S. state of Michigan. Well, let's start with our Inside the Americas number of the week, 184. That's for 184 prisoners who escaped from a jail in Brazil this week in the wake of the worst prison violence there in 25 years. Close to 60 were killed in fighting between rival drug gangs at one of the jails. Many of those slain were beheaded before being tossed over prison walls. That violence prompted the Justice Minister to announce plans to completely overhaul the country's overcrowded prison system. Sanam Chantier reports.
Fear and confusion reign outside a prison in the Amazon city of Manaus. More than 184 inmates escaped during a bloody riot. This while 12 police officers were taken hostage. With the night drawing in, the desperate relatives gathered outside waiting for information on their loved ones.
My son is in there. The police have nothing to do with him. I want to know where my son is and how he is.
The following day, the security official for Amazonas State held a news conference. He spoke of the biggest prison massacre in over 2 decades. For 15 hours, 56 detainees were brutally beaten and tortured by a rival gang.
Not all of them were decapitated, but a large number of prisoners were beheaded. And from what we've seen, there was a great deal of abuse. This was somehow a way of sending a message to the other side.
A war between gangs that has already spilled onto the streets and other prison units. At the Anísio Jobim Penitentiary, the dispute was between Família do Norte and the country's most powerful criminal gang, the Primeiro Comando da Capital. And these mutinies are frequent in the country. Inside prisons, it's the gangs that make laws. They fight for control of drug trafficking, and the state is powerless.
The inmates had made a promise to the guards. They promised that everything would be calm and that there would be no problems during the holidays. They didn't keep their promise, but should we really trust criminals?
An admission of failure, but overcrowding in Brazil's prison system has made security a challenge. With 622,000 inmates identified by the Department of Justice in 2014, nearly 9,000 in the Amazonas, Brazil has the 4th largest prison population in the world, behind the US, China and Russia. Nationwide, there was an average of 1.67 prisoners for every available space. But in Amazonas state, the figure was 2.59 prisoners for every space. Taking advantage of the commotion, many escaped from prison and are now on the run in the dense rainforest. Among them, Brian Bremer, serving a sentence for robbery. He's even found the time to capture his life as a fugitive for the world to see. But some of his companions in the photos have already been captured.
Time now for a wrap of some of the other big stories out of the Americas this week. Jovenel Moïse has now officially won Haiti's presidential election. Those official results put an end to an electoral process that's lasted well over a year. Moïse is a businessman who has never held elected office, but he also won the initial vote in 2015, a vote that was canceled when an independent commission found massive fraud. Close to 150 homes destroyed in a fire in Chile this week. Dozens of inhabitants in the port of Valparaiso were forced to flee. Hundreds of firefighters were dispatched to battle the blaze on Monday, along with water-dumping airplanes and helicopters. And a newly uncovered pyramid structure in central Peru could upend the way researchers have thought of the ancient Incas. After a year of investigation, researchers say they believe the structure is what is known as an ushnu. Now, it's thought the terraced pyramid structures were used by ancient local rulers during some of their most significant ceremonies to the gods. The discovery of this new site north of Lima could mean the area carried more weight in Incan society than previously thought. Next to the U.S., where the 115th Congress opened this week, and when Donald Trump takes office January 20th, this will be the first time Republicans have controlled both houses of Congress and the White House since 1928. The GOP has vowed to push through one of the most conservative agendas in decades. But divisions are likely to emerge over both Trump's cabinet picks and allegations of Russia's interference in the election last November. Clément Bonnereau took a look.
An aggressive campaign to dismantle 8 years of President Obama's Democratic policies. Paul Ryan, the Speaker of the House, says his fellow Republicans in Congress are ready to hit the ground running and push through one of the most conservative agendas in decades. That should be an easy task. Republicans control both houses and will soon hold the White House when Donald Trump takes office on the 20th of January. One of their first goals will be to repeal the Affordable Care Act, which provides health insurance to 19 million Americans, but has seen costs soar in recent years. Republicans are also eager to roll back key environmental and financial regulations and slash taxes for businesses. The new Congress, however, is likely to face major challenges. Republicans are at odds on a number of issues, such as replacing Obamacare or whether to investigate claims of Russian hacking in the 2016 election. John McCain, a prominent figure of the Republican Party in Congress and a former presidential candidate, wants a hearing to be held on the issue. But the president-elect says he wants, quote, to move on. Obstacles will also come from minority Democrats. While they do not have the votes to block any of Trump's cabinet choices, they can slow the process. They have also warned of a fierce fight over Obamacare and said they would oppose any plans to curb immigration.
Now, one of Donald Trump's big campaign promises was bringing jobs back to the United States. Just this week, U.S. carmaker Ford said it was canceling a $1.6 billion plant in Mexico in order to beef up a current factory in the state of Michigan. The head of Ford says the decision was a vote of confidence in Trump's new policies. Several major U.S. companies have started investing in production sites at home. American-made products are still more expensive than those made overseas, but consumers say they're willing to pay a little bit more to buy local. Anka Ula explains.
Union City, Tennessee has seen many companies shut down or relocate to Asia. This factory has done the opposite. 9 to 5 Seating has moved one of its production sites from China to Union City and rebranded itself as Made in America Seating.
Back to the United States is going to be a key element in helping our economy. And as a manufacturer, I think we have an obligation to do everything we can to bring manufacturing back to the United States.
The chair company has invested 39 million euros in the site, mainly on efficient machinery, the key to a successful business.
Our plan is to totally reverse a trend that has existed for the past 30 or 40 years. And in fact, about 2 months ago, we made history by exporting our first shipment from this facility to our factory in China.
Sophisticated machines are the reason the company was able to settle in the U.S., because they replace many of the workers, cutting costs and producing more. But MIA is also planning to create 500 new jobs, mostly specialized machine operators.
I can run 100 to 1 over them, and where it would take 7 people, it takes only 1.
Producing local also means buying local raw material and creating a network of local businesses.
One of the things that we're able to do is work with other vendors around the state of Tennessee. So we're creating residual jobs. The product is equivalently the same type of price.
Consumers are enthusiastic about buying local and helping create local jobs. They're often ready to pay more to support businesses. That's what the owner of Cleveland Motorcycles believes. Unlike its name suggests, his motorcycles have so far been made exclusively in China.
Social responsibility is huge, and there's a huge push from my generation and younger generation to buy local, to really source locally, and to really build up your community.
As for fitness giant Reebok, the move back home means finding new ways to cut costs.
We're pretty much out of places on the planet to find less expensive labor going forward, so we have to innovate, really change fundamentally how we do production of our product.
These innovations include new manufacturing processes, like 3D drawing and printing that help minimize costs and lower prices.
The idea is when you get to a local for local manufacturing, you save on shipping because you're doing it right next door. You save on labor because you need fewer people on the factory floor itself. You're moving some of those positions into programming.
With Donald Trump's administration pushing protectionist policies, even more American companies might soon be coming home.
All right, we will leave you now with this. Donald Trump may have become a TV star thanks to the show The Apprentice, but he is giving that hosting role up due to his new day job as president. His replacement is Terminator movie star turned politician Arnold Schwarzenegger. And while the president-elect is no longer starring, he will reportedly remain an executive producer on the show. The rebooted version of Celebrity Apprentice kicked off this week, starring the former governor of California. And after Trump made famous his catchphrase, "You're fired," Schwarzenegger's hoping to have the same success with his new line, "You're terminated."
Connie, you're terminated.
All right, we'll leave you with that. Thanks so much for watching Inside the Americas. We'll see you next week for all the news from north to south.